Continue to write down your evaluations on those slips. Those are very, very important. Don't forget to put your name on them. If you could squeeze in the date, write legibly. It is another form of evaluation that is very welcomed in the process of Toastmasters. You ready, my friend?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, let me introduce you. Our next speaker comes from a long line of renowned orators, including Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde, Mel Tillis, with his incredible ice-breaking speech. Please get your expectations unrealistically high for the love child of Tony Robbins and Joel Osteen. Let's welcome Toastmaster John Mazzanovich.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I get started, I have a quick question for all of you. How many people are here today? That's not a lot. Well, I hope you get here soon because this is my icebreaker speech and it's kind of important to me. So that's actually a Steve Martin bit about how many people are here today. And if you think about it, that's actually a mindfulness joke. Are you here? And Steve Martin studied philosophy in college, so that kind of makes sense. And I first heard that bit when I was about 14 years old, which coincidentally was about the time I started my own journey into philosophy and psychology, which culminated with a book that I wrote. Philosophy has become a motif in my life. And it was also about this time that I picked up this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It was Prattville, Alabama, 1979. I was about 12 years old. And this book was a huge cultural touchstone back in the day. And it is a story about a seagull who does not want to scavenge with the crop, with the flock. He wants to fly, and he wants to fly fast. And he gets outcast by his flock. And it taught me that it's okay to be different, it's okay to be audacious, and it's okay to fail. And it got me very curious about who I was and where I wanted to go with my life. And this set me to being kind of introspective, and I started writing poetry. And very soon, my parents got me a guitar that I asked for, my loving, supportive parents. And this was just an incredible tool for me in writing songs and expressing myself, dealing with some hard times, having a lot of fun. And, you know, the girls seem to like it too. So thank you. So, fast forward to college, I ended up getting gigs, both solo and with bands. And after barely graduating from college, I followed my girlfriend up to Nashville, where she proceeded to dump me. And at that point, I was, let's go west, young man. And so I moved out to Flagstaff, Arizona. I didn't know anybody there. I just needed a new start, blank slate. But I wanted to put the restaurant business behind me. I'd done a lot of that work. And I found a job at a photomat, developing film primarily for Grand Canyon tourists. But I also got to develop a lot of my own film. So every weekend I was out and about with my dad's old Bell & Howell SLR camera. This is it. And just taking amazing photographs of the landscape and Anasazi ruins and petroglyphs. But I didn't really know how to make that a career at that point. And so I thought I needed something more practical, a little more potential. And having developed some self-awareness at this point, I realized that with my personality, I probably should go into sales, like my dad and his dad. But I thought, I better sell something I don't hate. And I don't hate wine. And so I got familiar with wine in the restaurant business, and my mom was a big fan as well. And so this has been a lifelong career for me, and I really enjoy it. And I've learned some great lessons along the way. One of the first most important lessons, I was about 25 years old, and a customer had reneged on a house wine placement that they had made with me. And I got very hurt about this. I was very upset. And I remember driving down the road in Sedona, looking out over the red rocks, just incredible scenery, just thinking, I got to shake this off. I have another presentation coming up. And I realized that I was not going to get very far in this industry, nor enjoy it, as much if I didn't learn to separate the business from the personal. And also, I don't need to be making assumptions about what other people think and what their motivations are, because I really don't know. And there's a lot of reasons that person might have done that that probably had nothing to do with me. And this is a great lesson that is in my book. So after 8 years in northern Arizona, it was time for me to get back closer to my family in the Southeast. And a very random chance connection between my dad and an old friend got me into the real estate business on the Gulf Coast, looking out over the Gulf of Mexico, or whatever you want to call it. And so this was during the heyday of the real estate boom in the early 2000s. And I met my wife, Jennifer, there. We had our first daughter, Ava, who's currently about to move up to Gainesville to pursue her veterinary medicine career. But we all know the real estate boom went bust. And so I had to get back into the wine business, which I'm not complaining. Managed to get a job as a state manager for a wine importer, which is what brought me to Orlando in 2010, which is also the year that our other daughter, Mia, was born, who is currently a freshman at Haggerty High School. She loves their theater department. She loves their early childhood development program. But after 7 years of traveling the world and the state, mostly the state, I was a little burned out and needed to spend a little more time with my family. So I resigned and took a job with a small local distributor here. It's kind of a startup situation. We had some big dreams and plans that were soon dashed by the pandemic. And so I had to get back into gigging a little bit more. Became kind of a full-time job. It still is a full-time job for me. And along the way, I decided to get into real estate photography because I've done real estate. I like photography. And so I still do that a little bit. And I was at a gig a couple years ago speaking with a friend about this dissertation that I've been writing, all these philosophical thoughts that have helped me through the years, for my daughters, because they don't want to hear me talk about it. And they said to me, you should write a book. And I said, yeah, I should write a book. And then I started doing some book signings, and people were saying, you should talk about your book. And I thought, yeah, I should talk about my book. So here's my book, and I'm talking about it. It's called It's Human to Give a Crap, which I think is much healthier advice than the other big popular book out there, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Crap. And so, because I feel like human connections are extremely important. We don't need to care less about what other people think. We need to care more about what we think about ourselves. And so I hope that sufficiently breaks the ice. And I really enjoy my time here with you all, and I look forward to getting to know you better and hearing you speak and learning a whole lot more. So thank you.